Hey, what is up, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers family? I feel like we're family at this point, maybe. Um, I wanted to immediately start this episode off with a quote, two quotes actually, that Libby sent to me that I found really inspirational this week, as this was week number one for me in my new job. Here's the first one. This is by Elizabeth Elliot. This job has been given to me to do. Therefore, it is a gift. Therefore, it is a privilege. Therefore, it is an offering I may make to God. Therefore, it is to be done gladly, if it is to be done for Him. Here, not somewhere else, I may learn God's way. In this job, not in some other, God looks for faithfulness. And that was really good. This was first week on a new job for me, and just some of the struggles that go with that. And for me, just struggles of being in a job. It's the first time in half a decade that I've had a job. Working for somebody else, and it's been hard to accept, hard to chew on. But that was really encouraging for me of how do I make the most of this circumstance. Here is another quote. The secret of joy is Christ in me, not me in a different set of circumstances. And that is also by Elizabeth Elliot. So I've never read anything else from this lady. I don't know who that is, but those two quotes were inspirational to me. The secret of joy, just how do I abide in Christ? And in this job, even though this isn't necessarily my favorite set of circumstances, how do I recognize and look at it as a gift, as a privilege, and therefore look at it as how can I make my offering to the Lord by doing the absolute best job that I can? So, just some things that I was pondering on this week that I want to talk about before we went in the episode. Excuse me. But yeah, how did week one go? Week one, I tried to come in and basically take the bull by the horns. And, going back to my mission statement, I'll go ahead and read that because this is really important for how I handled myself this week. I've leaned on this several times. Like, if you haven't written your mission statement out, I would highly encourage you to go to Dave Ramsey's Entre Leadership course and look up. He should have like a resource in there. I can't remember what it's called. It's like mission statement. Sorry, I had a phone call come in. Should be mission statement, something or another. But it's a worksheet to help you put together your mission statement. But here's my mission statement. I will accomplish the impossible within my lifetime with the help of the Lord, while also making my family feel like a constant top priority. My journey will consist of strong steps instead of unbalanced leaps, and my path toward new heights. Within every opportunity I have, I will look for ways to improve my abilities for future growth, while also impacting the people around me in a powerful way by bringing desired, authentic, and measurable value to the team or group I am serving. Whether my role is as a peer, a subordinate, or as a commander, I will be a humble leader. I will be the most dedicated and interdependent tortoise within a world saturated by inconsistent and independent hares, going against that grain. That is my mission statement. How did I live that out this week? Did I do a good job? Did I succeed? Did I fail in that? And I would say I feel like I failed in that. Or backwards. I feel like I succeeded. Got saying that too quick. I feel like I succeeded, and I've got some reasons why. Definitely. I mean, every day, every morning in Bible time, praying throughout the day, really leaning on the strength of the Lord, whether it was for humility, whether it was for courage and making the call, or whatever it was, leaning into the Lord. But it was really cool. I was actually talking with Libby last night, and she talked about one of the companies that I worked to try to build in the past was My Home Option. And, basically during that season, I would say all the time, like, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for our family. But I was working like literally 16-hour days. So I was coming home to sleep and eat, and then I would go back to the office. And, I remember at that time in my brain, like, I thought I was doing that for the future growth and good of my family. But it was crazy because last night, like, even though we're not making, we're not going towards a specific goal like that's immediate of making quite a large sum of money. You know, Libby was just like, I feel like you're taking care of us just because like you're here. I'm here at the house 3 days a week during the week, and then I'm also here, on the weekends. And tomorrow I got to drive to Justin to check out a house. It's actually my first appointment, which is really cool. I've had several calls. I've got one deal that I'll probably be able to close remotely, but then this other deal I'm probably just gonna have to go to. But Libby told me that she felt specifically loved because she knew that I was making a sacrifice in not reaching for, I don't know, the big goal, I guess, and instead slowing down and taking time for my family. So that to me, like when she said that, I was like, wow, that's a win. Like, and it's nice because my mission statement right there, like it tells me that that's a win. So no matter what happened this week, I can look at that and say that's a win because I stayed within bounds. But then also evaluating different opportunities that may come at other times. If that opportunity is going to take me away from my family consistently to where they won't feel like a constant top priority, then that's out of bounds for me. And that just is what it is. But yeah, my journey will consist of strong steps instead of unbalanced leaps. This is a step. I've done things like this, very, very similar to this before. So that was a good step forward. One of the things I was most excited for, skipping down a little bit, is bringing that desired, authentic, and measurable value to the team or group I'm serving. And so this week, Sergio is over me. It's Sergio, then Casey's kind of like the boss. And then, linear from me, there's David. And David's been in sales. He's much further along his sales journey than I am. He's probably like, I don't know, mid 40s, late 40s, something like that. If I were to just like take a guess. Maybe early 50s, because he said his kiddo was a little bit older. It's probably somewhere in that range. But if when I'm looking at this, like I got to help David a ton and give him real estate knowledge. There's a couple ways that I got to help Sergio this week. Even, we talked about eminent domain, and I was able to kind of shed some light on what that looks like whenever you're dealing with a seller who's dealing with eminent domain. We had a particular property where we were, conversing about that. I showed them how to build up a Kanban board within their software. And so it was really cool because they were looking for, how do we create that organization? And so I went in their software and I figured out it was pretty simple. But I just feel blessed. I'm able to most of the time figure out software, the simple things about software a little bit quicker. But I was able to figure that out and, help the team out with that, which is really cool. So yeah, but then just taking those slow steps, and really working on, there's even a couple things I was chewing about this week, and how hard do I push the gas pedal in this opportunity? What does it look like to have, brainwidth and capacity to pursue other things, outside of just this? And so I think right now, the only other business thing that I really am going to be working on is the tax sales. And so me and Nathan Mills are going to be going over that next Tuesday, which is exciting. And so I may even record a little bit of that, which is going to be really cool. I even told him maybe he could be on an episode, which would be neat. But anyways, so yeah, that'll be the big thing. I've got another project that I've been thinking about for a while that has to do with development. I don't want to go too into it. And it wouldn't be, but like I've told myself, like, okay, it's probably going to be, it wouldn't be until like early to mid next year that I'll really launch that. But even when I did launch pieces of that project, it'll only be to improve what I'm already doing. I've pretty much done every aspect of what that process would be. And, it would only be within the boundary lines of not making, I don't want my family not feel like a top priority. And, one of the things that actually I wanted to specifically talk about in today's episode is I wanted to talk about our budget and how that works, just to shed some light. So you guys know that, we have our every dollar budget up to our base income. And, but I work off of commission. And so I have a base pay, and then everything above that, I get paid out with my commission. So basically, anything that we earn, you know, as far as what we do with NK Legacy Properties, what we do with other investments, how do we break down, what comes in? To predefine that and write that down is so important because with Aaron and Carson, we made personally after all the splits and everything were done, like a little over, I think it was like 125, $150,000 or something like that in like 4 months. So you'd be like, holy cow, like that's a lot of money. And it was a lot of money. But because it wasn't super well defined where that money was going to go, we spent it just as fast as anybody living paycheck to paycheck. And we I guess we probably didn't spend it that fast, but we spent all that money in like 8 months. But we don't even live on that much money now. But that was my bad. Like Libby was trying to get us to budget, and I did a very, very poor job of making that a priority. And now that was the seeds that I planted were the leads. The fruit that I reaped was, the $125,000-$150,000 in payouts in just a few months from those deals. So I had more than what I needed to live. That could have sustained me. That could have built, I could have built a whole thing on top of that. I could build a whole investment strategy on that money. Instead, I've just burned through it. And through that season, of not budgeting and not being disciplined and really, having clear guidelines for myself in that season, that was the fruit that I planted. And what I got was just kind of a mess with my money. I ended up burning through all that capital, and it didn't build well. That was just, I was rich for just a second. I felt rich for a second. Very little rich, but, rich. At least the United States standards. But I want to break this down for you. So, like actually, you guys may even, I don't know if y'all, I think I have shown this, and I don't want to go too much into it because this is kind of our personal budget, but you might be able to see that. But I've got, it's like not very great on you can't really see it in the camera, it looks like, but there's a year one, and we have all of our goals in there. Paying off all the vehicles is in there. Saving up for being able to take the kiddos on the mission trip. Probably just like to Mexico, just over the border. We're going to get them to experience that level of service. And so those were kind of two of the bigger ones. 2024, we've got other goals that kick in, but they're all written down. And Libby and I are on the same page about these goals. So we have 2023 goals, which it looks like we're going to be able to knock all those out, which and those have changed. Like, if you can see that, some of these are crossed out. Some of them were moved to other years. So like as we've gone, okay, that, we try to set obtainable goals. But if it looks like we set a goal that wasn't obtainable in that year, but it's still a goal, we move it. Or we go, hey, that wasn't really a good goal. We don't really want it anyways. We get rid of it. We're only keeping the most important stuff. But it's a big decision that we make to move or change goals. Like, and they're not changing because like, oh, I want to spend more money now, so I'm going to move my savings goal out. No, it's like, I didn't make as much money as I thought I would. I have myself strapped down to like the bare necessities, and I'm not going to be able to reach that goal. So I need to push that goal out for whatever reason. But also at the same time, what I hope you guys see with the tax sales and whatever it is that's your thing, is I'm going to work outside of my job too to make as much money as I can. I need to use my time and money to make money. And that's really investment income. So yeah, so we have goals for 2023, 24, 25, 26 through 28. That's so basically like when I break it down, 2023 is all about saving. 2024 is about building up strong active income and building a strong base. Like that's what I have it labeled as. I have it labeled as active income. If you can see that, I think it's better if I hold it at an angle. Active income. So it's really focused on getting a very stable active income and building up, our war chest again. And so for me, a war chest is having a year of income in savings. And I even have it showing in here which account that's going to go to, not like an account number, but which bank. Is it our personal account? Is it our business account? And I have all that broken down. Very clear, defined roadmap. Year 3, 2025. Building to passive income. So really 2025 is going to be all about, switching out of active income. And we'll talk about how I define that into investment income. Again, we'll talk about how I define both of those as well as passive income. So building investment income and working towards passive. And then 2026 through 2028 is going to be all about increasing my way into passive income. So my goal is by 2026, like my whole focus is investing. No longer am I working for somebody. It's 100% investment income. And then I'm also just continuing to build that passive income. By 2029, passive income is very strong. And, really for me by 2030, like I want to be able to be working on my ministry. So, and that gets like 2030 plus. So, let me roll through here now. I think it'd be really helpful at this time if I just broke down what do I see as active income, investment income, and passive income, because that's going to be really important as I break down like the budget. And I just want you guys to get a feel for what we're doing, why we're doing it. And I think it's really good to define things ahead of time. It's good to, define things ahead of time. So that way, when push comes to shove and you're going, hey, is this active? Is this investment? Is this passive? How do I invest? Where can I invest? Like where's my inbounds, out of bounds? This is everything to tell me, like, I'm getting to define what's inbounds and out of bounds, but I need to do that defining of what's inbounds and out of bounds before I run the play, right? Like if in football, you hadn't established exactly where, like, hey, the touchdown's like over on that end somewhere. But, you don't want to just tell the player, like, hey, you say hut, throw the ball, run that direction, and the touchdown's like somewhere over there, and we'll figure it out when you get there. That's the worst plan ever. It would make absolutely no sense. We'd be like, what the heck? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Like, that field is put together before the players even show up to stretch or warm up, right? Let alone before the first play goes off in a football game, or same with like baseball or basketball. All the rules, the court, the field, whatever it is that you're playing on, all of these things are set up and everybody knows what's happening. There's an inbounds, out of bounds. The rules are black and white. We've got to do that for ourselves if we ever want to be able to get to the next level. So active income. And some of this I pulled from, oh man, I should have marked it because a lot of this is not my wording. It came from, I think it was Investopedia. I'm almost positive it was Investopedia. If I'm incorrect on that, I'm very, very sorry. I will work to mark these out. This was supposed to be a personal note. Now I'm sharing it publicly. Active income. Active income is income received from a job or business venture that you actively participated in. Examples of active income include wages, salaries, bonuses, commissions, tips, and net earnings from self-employment. So I label this simply put, trading your time for money. So you might trade, an hour of time for $10. You might trade an hour of your time for $100. You might trade an hour of your time for $1,000. Simply put, it doesn't matter how much. You could trade an hour of your time for $1 million. But if it takes you being there and being, a part of that transaction, but you're not putting any money in, it's literally just the value of your time. It doesn't matter if your time is extremely valuable. I should say everybody's time is very, very valuable. It's the most limited resource that I would say we have, which should make it the most valuable resource that we have. But whether you're to a place that, from a dollar standpoint, the people that you're working for value it to a high degree or a low degree, just depending on how much you're getting paid per hour, that's active income. If you're having to work, if you're having to work, for that. The second piece is after active income is investment income. So investment income is the money you make from your investments, including common accounts and brokerage accounts. While investment income is a great way to build wealth, keep in mind that some investments can complicate your taxes. So for me, the way I would simply define this is trading your time and money for money. So what I'm doing right now for Casey, working these leads, that's trading my time for money. What I do at the tax sale, that's trading my time and money for money. I do have to invest my time, but let's just say, hey, I go to a tax sale and I invest $5,000 and it took me like 2 days of work. Well, it's not like, hey, I went to the tax sale and I got paid to go to the tax sale and do a job. I went to the tax sale and let's say I buy $5,000 worth of, or $5,000 in real estate, and that's worth 15,000. So now over the next few months, I'm going to sell that, and I'm going to make money, as I'm taking those calls and selling that real estate. So with that being said, I am trading my. Give me just 1 second. I've got calls and texts and everything coming in. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I have about to have to make a call. Another lead came in. So, but I want to finish this. There's a couple more things that I want to go through. So, so we talked about active income is trading your time for money. Trading investment income is trading your time and money for money. Typically, you're going to make more money there than you will in active income. And then passive income is passive income, or unearned income, is, as the IRS calls it, the Internal Revenue Service, is income that requires minimal effort to obtain. It is the opposite of active income, which is income received from a job or business venture that does not require active participation. Passive income includes earnings derived from rental property, limited partnership, or other enterprise in which a person is not actively involved. While these money-generating ventures may have initially required some effort, now they generally pay out automatically without the recipient breaking out a sweat. So for me, I label this as trading your money for money. So kind of like where most everybody is, they're trading their time for money, time for money, time for money, time for money, time for money. The goal is, can we set aside enough money in that process of trading your time for money? So then you have enough money that it's like, okay, now I'm going to trade my efforts with that money to make my money grow. I'm going to double or triple my money. And so that's where you start seeing significant leaps, because now your money isn't, your income at that point as an investor isn't tied to how many hours can I work. It's how strategic can I get with my money. So the more strategic, the more efficient you can get about turning over your money, the more money you're going to make as an investor. And eventually you're going to have so much built up cash that you're just investing into other people's businesses or rental properties or anything like that. And you have a property manager where you're not having to think about it and actively engage with it. You're taking capital, not debt, at least in our model that we're doing, just capital that you've earned, you're investing, and it's just sending you mailbox money. So those are the 3 steps: time for money, time and money for money, which is where you're making more. And eventually you have so much money that you just start trading your money for money. And it might take you a little bit of energy to set up that process. Like I might have to go buy the rental property and then get it to the management company. But then once that's done, it's cash cow forever. So for Libby and I, we have our active income from $0 to our base pay. And that is within our every dollar. And so actually this last week, we went to the bank and we broke it down. We've got I think we've got 14 accounts. And so when our paycheck comes in, it literally breaks down, groceries, dates. We have our savings. We've got car maintenance. We've got gas. We've got miscellaneous. There's all these line items, and they each have their own debit card to make sure that none of the accounts are stealing from each other. I want to make sure that we don't go, we don't want to go to the point that we, sorry, I just got a text. It was funny. I forgot what I was saying. Dadgum. Either way, 0 to 100, that's inside every dollar. Oh, we don't want to make sure that for example, that our miscellaneous is stealing from our grocery budget. And then we're going, oh man, we're running out of money. We need to make more money. It's no, we just need to be more careful about what we're spending our miscellaneous stuff on. So then from there, we have basically the second step is, we're saving up to that $100,000. And that covers, definitely for sure a year plus of income needs. That to me was just that's a really good number. So how do we get to there? So basically, any active income that's greater than the base pay, while our savings is less than $100,000, tithe is 10%, giving 0%, savings 80%, and then we have fund 10%. So giving is over and above tithe. So we'll tithe our 10%, we have fund for 10%, and then but 80% majority is going to savings. Same with our investment income. So we have our active income and our investment income. And remember, active is time for money, investment being time and money for money. So that investment income, while our savings is less than 100,000, then tithe 10%, giving 0%, savings 80%, investment 0%, fund 10%. Now you're going to see the strategy here in just a minute. So Once we get to a place where our savings is greater than 100,000 or at least equal to 100,000, then we're going to do active income is going to break down as follows: tithe 10%, giving 5%, investment 75%, fund 15%. For investment income, after our savings is greater than 100,000, this is going to be tithe 10%, giving 5%, investment 50%, and fund 35%. So I'm going to be able to have more fun and be able to do more things. Once I've got that $100,000 saved, I'm going to get to put, when I'm turning my time and money to money, that's where I get to really start having fun with my money and get to loosen up my budget. And then on my passive income, 10% tithe, 10% giving, 40% investment, 40% fund. Now I've already really well defined what's active income, time and money, or time for money, what's investment income, time and money for money, and what's passive income is just money for money. So I can very easily say, hey, that thing that I did to make that money, what was that? Here's how I categorize that. My goal is to get to passive income, because passive income is where I get the biggest bang for my buck and getting to have fun, right? But then from there, it's like, first thing I need to build is my savings. So I have a war chest. The second thing I'm going to build up is my investments. And then the third thing I get to do is have fun. And as my investments build up, I'll have more money to invest, which means I'll have more money to have fun. Now, here's a very interesting caveat. This is the first time I've ever done this, but I think this is really going to help me with this budgeting process, and maybe it will help you guys. So here's a note. I can draw from the fund and savings accounts to pay for bigger investments as desired. Any level of investment can be funded from the fund account, while only low to medium level risk accounts can be funded from savings. Very important. So my fund account, I don't have to just use that for fun. I can choose to pull that over into investments. I have the ability to use that for fun, but also have the ability to reinvest it. But that way I have a set money that it's like, okay, if I want to, the problem is that I would make so much money, but then I'd be like, okay, now I want to go have fun. How much of that money can I use for fun? And because it was all just in one account, it just got spent through. Versus if I had a specific fun account where I was going, hey, let's say I want to go buy, let's just say I want to buy, a nice Ford F-250, and I know that's going to cost me 45 grand. It's either in the fun account or it's not, right? And there's something else with that, but I'll get to it in a second. So this draw would be treated as a loan at a high interest rate. I would have 1 to 3% loan origination based on if it was a low, medium, or high risk investment. I have that defined. And there would be 10 to 30% down required from the investment account in order to do that. So it'd be just like if I was borrowing money from somebody. I cannot pull from investments or savings to fund fun. Never ever can I fund my fun stuff. So basically anything that's not investing or savings or income, I cannot fund any fun from the investments in the savings account. That's the kind of inbounds, out of bounds thing. As fun is a liability and not an asset, which will repay the note. So even here, it's based off of this sticker. Is that logic? So one of the things that we're going to do, and I'll say this as a note because I don't know if I actually made a note of that in here, but basically on our, let's say I were to go buy that truck for $4,500, and let's say the truck payment on that would be like $1,200 a month. Well, I'm buying cash, so I don't technically have a truck payment, but to keep track of how big our living expenses are, we are still going to take our primary income and pay back the interest on, let's just say, whatever I could get from a dealer. Let's say it was like a 60-month note. I would pay that note back with the interest that I would have bought. If I had bought that truck on financing at that moment, I'm going to use those terms to pay back the fund account. And so that way, even if we're making a lot of money as an investor, we're always aware of, wow, if we were just a normal person, like our cost of living would be, 50,000, 100,000, 152, 250, $500,000, like whatever it is, because we don't want to get to the point where it's like we're living just crazy exorbitant life and we forget what the purpose of making the money was in the first place. The purpose wasn't just to make a bunch of money. The purpose was to be able to give like crazy. But if we're consuming $1 million a month or $500,000, or not a month, a month, that'd be insane. A year in expenses, we're doing something wrong. And so that's going to help keep us accountable. I cannot pull from I think I said that already. I also can only pull from investments to savings in case of emergency. Fund account will be depleted to savings first. Then the investments account will be depleted to savings to maintain that $100,000 level of savings. So let's just say for whatever reason, tap over here on income stops, then all of a sudden, savings jumps over into income. Whatever we used from savings to income is going to come out of fund to keep that savings cup 100% full. So you got to think it's just overflowing from fund into savings. If the fund gets all the way to zero, then we start pouring our investments cup into savings to keep that savings buffer up. If we are out of fund, we are out of investments, and we start tapping into savings, there's nothing to refill that cup. Something is going majorly wrong, and we need to start figuring out real quick what to do, whether it's getting a job, adjusting, pivoting. That gives us time to pivot, but we need to pivot quickly because we don't want to burn through all that, because then our nest egg is completely gone again. We're starting from zero. So that's just going to be able to help us keep a pulse, but also keep a buffer between ourselves. So it's not like crap, paychecks start coming through in 2 weeks. I lose my house. I lose lights in my house. I lose my electricity, my water, whatever. Like, we will be a very far away. We're going to have a horizon, but this is how we set up that horizon. Maximum savings drawdown is 3 months of income. So like, even if I'm using my savings for investments, I have to keep at least 3 months of income in that account. And remember, with savings, I can only invest in low to medium risk investments, no high risk investments. I can do it with fun if I want, because I'm taking a risk of losing it, but I really don't want to take a risk of losing my savings. Maximum fund drawdown is all the way to $0. Just really defining everything that I could think of. If I ever borrow from savings and fund, savings is the first position lender, and the fund money is the second position lender. Any fund money taken from the fund account for fund things must be paid back from my personal income with interest. This helps me to really feel how much money I'm spending. So I did write that note down. Last thing I want to define is low, medium, and high risk investments. And then I got to sign off and go make this call and go close this deal. So low risk, these are investments I have personally completed start to finish 10 plus times with 10 plus consecutively profitable deals within the past 24 months. So it's not like I've done it way a long time ago, but like I've done it recently. I've done it over and over and over. I've done it over and over and over again profitably. So I can do these deals at an 80% loan to value because I'm very comfortable, very confident with these deals. And I have to have 10% down from the investments. There's going to be a 1% origination fee, which gets paid back to the savings account. And there's going to be 10% interest, which again gets paid back to the savings account because the savings account is the lender. Medium risk, this is investments I've personally done 3+ times with 3+ consecutively profitable deals in the past 24 months. So I've done this a couple times, but not over and over and over. And these numbers may change, but that's what I feel pretty comfortable with. Like if I flip 3 houses, or I've developed 3 pieces of land, or I've done 3 lots at a tax sale. So in the past 24 months, this is going to be at a 70% loan to value. So I'm going to have to put probably more money in from investments unless I'm just getting a really good loan to value. But I have to have 20% down at least. There's going to be a 2% origination paid out and 12% interest paid out to the account. So whether it's savings or fund that's funding this, like that's what their payout's going to be for taking that risk. And then I have high risk investments. And this is investments I've personally done less than 3 times and or have not completed profitably 3+ consecutive times within the past 24 months. So it's either been a long time since I've done them or I've never done them at all. Max loan to value 60%. Right? So if I'm borrowing from savings, or I'm borrowing, or actually no, on these, I can only borrow from fund. I can't do high risk from savings. If I'm borrowing from fund, I'm only going to do a max of 60,000. So let's say the land's worth 100,000. The most that I would be willing to lend on that from fund would be $60,000. But with that said, the savings account, or excuse me, the investments account still has to have 30% down. So let's say I locked it up under contract for 70,000. I knew I was going to turn around and sell it for 100. Well, I'd have to have $21,000 of money in the deal from the investments account in order to be able to do that deal. And so then that would leave me putting in $49,000 from fund, which would be within my 60% criteria. And that would be a 3% origination and 15% interest annually. So that's the breakdown of our savings and where money's going to go and how it's going to go. And I would highly recommend, like, even if you have a different roadmap, you have a different way of defining, your budget and how things are going to go. At the end of the day, like just find a way to define what you're doing. Give yourself inbounds and out of bounds. Build your mission statement, build your budget, Tell yourself what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. So that way you don't end up, in the middle of a play, running down the field, going to catch a ball, and you don't even know where the end zone is, right? You've got to know where the end zone is. You have to know what the goal, you have to know what inbounds is in order to be able to do the best job possible. So that's my inbounds. That's what I was really excited to talk about this week. Week one's been good, busy. I've got another call. Got to go probably lock up a deal today. So anyways, I will keep you guys in the loop with how everything continues to go. With that said, thanks for stopping by, listening to my wealthy legacy journey in this week of it. And again, I'll say here's to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. Catch you guys in the next episode.